What if I told you that 85% of salary negotiations end with a lower offer than the employee started with? And yet a simple, data-backed script can flip the odds in your favor without ever putting your job on the line. Most people think asking for more money is a gamble. They picture a tense meeting, a boss raising an eyebrow, a possible pink slip. The reality is far more nuanced. Negotiation is a science, not a gamble. It follows patterns that can be measured, predicted, and leveraged. In the next few minutes you'll learn why the usual "I deserve a raise because I work hard" line fails, and how to replace it with a conversation that feels inevitable, logical, and low risk. You'll walk away with a step-by-step script grounded in real data, plus the psychology that makes the script stick in any manager's mind. First, let's set the stage. Most employees wait until the annual review to bring up compensation, but that timing is a relic of old corporate calendars. Modern companies use continuous performance feedback, and many have salary bands that adjust quarterly. If you miss that window, you're playing catch-up with a system that may already have allocated your raise elsewhere. Knowing the rhythm of your organization's budget cycle is the first tactical advantage. It's like checking the tide before you set out to fish. You can't catch anything if you're rowing against the current. Second, the data tells a story. A 2022 study of 12,000 salary negotiations across tech, finance, and healthcare found 3 clear predictors of success: anchoring with a specific number, citing market benchmarks, and framing the ask as a win-win for the company. The same study revealed that negotiators who used vague language, a little more fair compensation, were 57% more likely to receive a counteroffer below their current salary. Numbers matter more than feelings in the boardroom. That's why the script we'll build is built around precise figures and concrete value. Third, the psychology of loss aversion plays a huge role. People hate losing more than they love gaining. When you ask for a raise, you can trigger a subconscious fear that you'll leave, that you'll become dissatisfied, that you'll cost the company in turnover. If you frame the conversation to show that the raise prevents a loss of productivity, loss of institutional knowledge, you're speaking the brain's native language. Think of it as offering a safety net rather than a bonus. The brain responds more positively when you protect something it already values. Now let's walk through the script section by section. Each part is designed to build momentum, keep the conversation on your terms, and protect you from the most common pitfalls. I'll illustrate each step with a real-world scenario, an analogy, and a quick mental experiment you can try before your own meeting. The opening anchor. This is the moment you set the monetary reference point. Research shows that the first number spoken becomes the anchor that pulls the entire negotiation toward it. The trick is to choose a number that is both ambitious and defensible. Imagine you're a software engineer earning $110,000, and market data from 3 reputable salary surveys shows the median for your role and experience is $125,000. Instead of saying, "I think I deserve more," you start with, "Based on the latest industry benchmarks, I'm looking at a compensation package in the $128,000 $132,000 range." Notice 2 things. You give a range and you place it slightly above the median. The range gives you wiggle room, while the higher end signals confidence. In practice, this works because the other party will instinctively adjust their counter toward the middle of your range, often landing you close to the high end. A common misstep is to let the boss set the number first. That's like letting your opponent choose the first move in chess. They dictate the tempo. By anchoring yourself, you seize the initiative. If you're nervous about sounding greedy, remember that you're simply reflecting market reality. The brain's loss aversion bias makes us uncomfortable with numbers that feel too high, but the data you present neutralizes that discomfort. You're not asking for a favor, you're aligning pay with documented market value. The value link bridge. Once the anchor is set, you need to connect the dollar figure to concrete contributions you've made. This is where the psychology of reciprocity shines. People feel compelled to give when they see they've received something valuable. You could say, "Over the past 12 months, I led 3 product releases that increased our ARR by $3.2 million, reduced churn by 1.8 percentage points, and saved the engineering team roughly 400 man-hours through process automation." By quantifying impact, you transform an abstract request into a tangible ROI. The boss now hears, "If we invest $18,000 in my salary, we're already seeing a $3.2 million return." That ratio is hard to ignore. If you don't have exact numbers, use credible proxies. Perhaps you can reference a client testimonial that led to a new contract, or cite a performance rating that placed you in the top 10% of your cohort. The key is to tie every dollar you ask for to a specific measurable benefit. This creates a mental ledger in the listener's mind, cost versus gain. The brain loves clear arithmetic. Future growth framing. Even with past achievements, a manager may worry about sustainability. You can preempt that by painting a picture of continued impact. Say, looking ahead, "I'm planning a migration to a microservices architecture that will cut deployment times by 30% and open the path for 2 new product lines within the next 6 months. This forward-looking statement does 2 things. First, it reassures the listener that the raise is an investment in upcoming revenue. Second, it triggers the brain's anticipation reward system. People are naturally drawn to future gains. It's the same principle that makes people buy a car because of its future fuel savings, not just its current features. A subtle psychological lever here is the foot in the door technique. By first securing agreement on a modest future project, you make the larger request for compensation feel like a natural next step. The manager has already said yes to the plan. Saying yes to the raise becomes a low-effort extension of that commitment. The risk reversal clause. One of the biggest fears employees have is that asking for more could backfire, leading to a demotion or termination. You can neutralize that fear by offering a built-in safety net for the employer. For example, if the projected savings from the microservices migration don't materialize within 9 months, I'm willing to revisit the compensation adjustment. This shows confidence in your own projections and signals that you're not demanding a free lunch. It also taps into the brain's desire for control by giving the boss a way out. You reduce perceived risk. In practice, managers often appreciate the transparency and are more willing to meet the ask. A surprising fact: a 2023 experiment with 1,200 managers showed that when candidates offered a risk reversal clause, the average raise offered increased by 7% compared to those who didn't. The psychology is simple: people are more comfortable when they feel they have a safety valve. It's a tiny concession that yields a disproportionate gain. The social proof insertion. Humans are herd animals. We look to others to decide what's normal. If you can cite a recent internal raise, a peer's promotion, or a company-wide salary adjustment, you create a sense that your request aligns with what's already happening. You might say, I understand the company recently adjusted compensation for the data science team by 5% after they delivered the predictive analytics platform. I see a parallel in the impact my team has delivered. This subtly tells the boss that your raise is consistent with internal standards, reducing the perception that you're an outlier demanding special treatment. If you don't have a direct example, use industry benchmarks. According to the 2024 Robert Half Salary Guide, senior product managers in our region are averaging $140,000, which is about 12% higher than the current median at our firm. This brings external social proof into the conversation, making it harder for the manager to claim that your ask is unreasonable. The pause and let them feel tactic. After you deliver the script, resist the urge to keep talking. A well-placed pause forces the other person to respond, often filling the silence with concessions or clarifications that work in your favor. It's a classic negotiation move that leverages the discomfort of silence. Think of it like a pause in a tennis rally. The opponent feels compelled to make the next move. Now, let's address the dreaded no. Even with a perfect script, you might hear a flat denial. The goal is not to walk out defeated, but to keep the dialogue alive. A graceful response could be, I appreciate your honesty. Could we outline a roadmap of objectives that would make a raise feasible in the next quarter? This turns a no into a conditional yes, and it shows you're solution-oriented. It also buys you time to prove your value further, while keeping the negotiation channel open. In many cases, managers who initially say no will revisit the request once you deliver on the agreed milestones. A real-world illustration. Maya, a marketing analyst at a mid-sized tech firm, asked for a 10% raise using the Anchor Value Future framework. Her manager said no, citing budget constraints. Maya responded with a roadmap. If we can increase lead conversion by 15% over the next 6 months, can we revisit the raise? She hit the target, and 3 months later her manager approved a 12% increase, citing the earlier agreement. The lesson is clear: turning a rejection into a performance-based promise can be more effective than pushing for an immediate win. The final piece of the puzzle is timing your follow-up. After the meeting, send a concise recap email that restates the key points, the agreed numbers, and any next steps. This creates a written record and reinforces the anchor. The email should be no more than 3 short paragraphs, each with a single sentence. Simplicity keeps the focus on the numbers you've already discussed, and it prevents the conversation from drifting back into vague territory. Now for the twist that most guides miss. Sometimes the best negotiation outcome is not a raise at all, but a different form of compensation that carries less risk for the company. Stock options, a flexible schedule, tuition reimbursement, or a defined role title upgrade can all increase your total reward package without triggering a budget red flag. In some organizations, a title change alone can unlock future salary bands, essentially future-proofing your earnings. Think of it as a strategic retreat that positions you for a bigger victory later. The key is to ask the question, what other levers can we pull that achieve the same goal? This shows your collaborative and creative traits that managers love. Imagine you walk into the meeting, deliver the anchor, link your value, paint the future, offer a risk reversal, sprinkle in social proof, and pause. The manager nods, takes a breath, and says, let's do $125,000 plus an equity grant. You've just negotiated a raise without risking your job, because every step was backed by data, psychology, and a safety net for the employer. To recap, the formula is precise anchor, quantified impact, future growth, risk reversal, social proof, strategic pause, and flexible compensation alternatives. Each component is a lever. Together they create a balanced force that moves the negotiation in your direction while keeping the other side comfortable. The science behind each lever is well documented, and the stories of people who have used them prove they work in real life. Now think about your own situation. Which of these levers feels most natural for you, and which one will require the most preparation? How will you gather the market data, the performance metrics, and the future project plan that will make your script airtight? The answers will shape the outcome of your next salary conversation. What's the boldest line you've ever considered saying in a raise negotiation? And how would you tweak it using the framework we just explored?